Hello everybody, welcome back to Scrappy Adam and welcome to a different kind of video. Today we are going to be creating one of these booklets that I created for Scrap Backwards this week, and it is using one single sheet of A3 paper to create a little mini book, and it simply opens up like this and you've got yourself a little book. Now when I posted this video, I did do quite a bit of it off camera, and I know Steph and a couple of other people messaged and asked if I could just show how I did the interactive elements, so the flips and the pockets and such things. So I thought what we would do is we would just quickly make another one from scratch. I've already pre-cut a load of paper. We're going to do a Christmas one this time, and we will add lots of interactive elements to show you the different ways that I personally add them. There will be more, of course. I am not a pro in mini book making or interactive elements or anything of the sort, but this is how I do it anyway, and hopefully you guys will pick something up. So first things first, you need a sheet of A3 cardstock. This is quite thick. This is, I think it's 280 GSM. You just want something quite sturdy for your base, just to hold it all together. And then you just need to trim a little bit off. So in my booklet, my mini book, and this could be as big or as small as you want. If you just wanted a small one, you could easily cut it in half very easily. I just wanted something a bit chunky because more is more. So each of my panels are 4 inches. So you therefore want this to be 16 inches long. Now, obviously, the trimmer is not 16 inches long. So what you want to do is trim off enough to make it 16. So A3, so you don't need to trim much off. A3 is 16.5 inches. So we just need to trim off half an inch, and that is it. So let me just get my other trimmer, just because it's easier for me to see the half an inch mark. So we're just going to take off half an inch, which is simply that, and now that gives us the right size. In terms of how tall your booklet is, your mini book, whatever you want to call it, that is about 11.6, I think. It's 11.7. So the overall size is 16 by 11.7. And then what you want to do is you just want to pull out your scoreboard, and we're going to score every 4 inches. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So we scored at 4, 8, and 12. Now, just to make sure you've got a good score, I just turn it over and score from that side as well, like so. And that is it. That's all you need to do with your scoreboard initially. We will need it again, so do not put it away. And then you're going to fold out this way. So you're going to fold in, then you're going to fold that way, and we're going to fold that way. And then we end up with our little sticker outer. And then I'm just going to use a bone folder, and we're going to fold each of these just to make sure it's nice and tight to the creases. Now you will notice that here it comes out a little bit. Don't know if you can actually see it. Personally, that is fine by me, because that's where you're going to grab it as you open your booklet. So I haven't got an issue with that. I probably could have folded it slightly better, and I wouldn't have got that, but as I say, I personally want that, hence why I didn't. So I'm just going to crease those edges, and there is the base of our book. Okay, now one thing that you are going to want to do is create a belly band. That is one thing that I did. So I have, as I said, I've got all the papers all ready. What I've done, it's up to you whether you do it like this or not. I've cut all these different papers. I don't need all of these, but I figured I will use them on other projects, so it's fine. So we've got all these different options to cover. Now these are cut at 9.5 centimetres by 29 centimetres, and that will give you perfect coverage for your little mini book with a little white border. If you don't want as big a border as I've got, then simply increase your measurement. What I've also done is cut out some elements. So we've got some of these strips from old Simple Stories papers. We've got some cut aparts and all the fun stuff there. And then I've also got some cut aparts here that I would like to use. And then some smaller scrap pieces of paper. I've simply cut 9.5 centimetres across so that it fits. And they're going to be what we use for our interactive elements. So we've got all of those to choose from as well. And then we've got this big piece which I want to see if we can use. I don't know if we can. Then finally, I also have these cut aparts in case I want to delve into them. So we've got Claus and Co from Simple Stories, which is an old 2015 collection. We have got December Documented, which is even older, at 2013. And another Claus and Co. And another Claus and Co. Then we've got Say Cheese Christmas, and a photo play. So we've got some cut parts to choose from should we wish to. You need some tape adhesive, double-sided tape, anything, whatever you normally use. And I would advise using some glue as well, just to make sure it's all going to stick together. Because double-sided tape I love, and it does work, and it does last, but there's always that risk, isn't there? So one thing that we do need to do, and you can choose either another paper or one that you've already prepared, but we need to create our belly band, and I'm going to do that first. So let's see what we think. I quite like the idea of using these gnomes actually, so let's use them. So I'm just going to pull this out. Now for your belly band, I personally have gone for 2 inches. It can be whatever you want it to be, really. It doesn't matter. So let's see, what about if we went for 2.5? That might just give it a little bit more stability. So that is our belly band. And now, as I said, you are going to need your scoreboard again. I haven't got a measurement as such for this, but basically all I did for this is, and I'm sure I'm like teaching you to suck eggs, you all know this, but I just figured let's do it from start to finish, because I kind of left a lot of the process out in my scrapbooks video. So I just folded one side over. Now you want to make sure it goes right to the edge, but you don't want it to go plush because otherwise it won't close. So we want to fold it over but still have a little gap on either side, sort of overlapping the paper, just because by the time you have added all of your interactive elements, your embellishments and everything else, it is going to be quite chunky. Or at least if you put as much in it as I do. Obviously we're all different, and some people are not going to like it to be as full as I do. I personally love as many interactive elements as I can squeeze in. I just think it makes the experience of looking through your little mini book, it just makes it for me. So you don't need much, but I have left, I don't know if you can see, just a few millimeters overhang there, and then pull that off and let's burnish those edges, making sure that it's all nice and straight, like so. And then stick that down. I will also add a little bit of glue, again, just to make sure that that double-sided tape sticks and doesn't go anywhere. So that can then fold over. And we have ourselves a belly band. I was going to say a mini band then. Now, it's up to you, it depends how you are doing your cover. I personally am going to add a little cutter part on front. So when the belly band is here, we're then going to have a little element there. So you could hide the join on the front, because then on the back it's just going to be clear. It's up to you really, it does not matter. However, what I do want to do is use a little bit of red cardstock, so let's just use that, because I don't really want grey on grey, but I want to use this as our little piece. So I am going to stick this on to there. I am using quite a lot of adhesive just because we don't want it falling apart. And then I'm going to mat this card, and then let's cut that out. Like so, nice and easy. Excuse me. And now what we can do is we can decide, do we want it on that side or do we want it on that side? And I think I'm probably going to put it on this side. I think that can work nice and easily. So just pop your card in on top of your belly band, just so you can see where it's okay to stick adhesive. Pop a bit of glue on there. So I'm using a mix of Simple Stories, Carta Bella and Echo Park papers. Those three companies I have sort of put together in my stash. I've got 2-3 boxes full. So I'm just trying to use up stash. So a mini book like this is a great way to use up some of your stash. So that is our belly band. That's how I did my belly band. Hopefully that makes sense, nice and easy. And then that simply goes on top, and you can slide your mini book in like so. And then you have your little closure. Now there are other options. If you don't want to do a belly band, you could use ribbon, twine, you could have a closure with eyelets. You could use magnets, you could use Velcro. There are many options. I just personally like that, and it is just another interactive element. So now what I need to do is stick all of these papers into my album. I'm going to go off and do that off camera, because all I'm doing is literally sticking the papers in. However, when you're sticking your papers in, one thing to remember is to stick your adhesive with a border around. You can always go back in and add a bit of glue when you've finished and you know you're not adding anything else, but try and leave a border to the sides, top and bottom, so that we can tuck things in when we come to do the interactive elements, which is what this video is all about. So give me 2 minutes and I will be right back. Okay, so that is the papers stuck in, and what we are left with is this delightful Christmassy little mini book. Now I've used this paper, this is all a paper from Simple Stories, because I loved all these stacked elements, and it looks like we've already embellished our cover when in actual fact we haven't. Now I do have another one of these papers, so to get some dimension and texture I may fussy cut some of these elements out and pop them up on foam on top of them. So then it looks just a little bit more texture, a bit more dimension. There is the belly band, and on the back we've got this black paper from Echo Park, which goes perfectly with the belly band. So that is the basis of it. That's the basics of it. Obviously, the measurements being the pattern paper is 9.5 centimeters by 29 centimeters, and the overall mini book size is 16 inches by 11.7 inches, which is an A3 chop half an inch off the end. Simple as that. For your belly band, you want about 11.5 folded over, and you will then have this little mini book. So let's dive into it. Take off our belly band, try and find somewhere to put it. And what I've done is I have covered my book with the pattern paper. So just trying to give myself some space. So we've got this red, then this again is another paper. This is the same paper as the cover, and I just love the way, when you're looking through your book, have a think about paper placement, because now when that opens and that folds, this looks like it's a continuation, and when it does that, I just think it works. Then we've also got a couple of plaids going there, and then we've got the back there, and then turning it over, we have got another one of those with that. So that is the foundation of my album. So let's dive in and add some interactive elements. So first off, I think I would like to add a little flip. And what I'm thinking is, what about if we added a little flip to here using this piece? This is from Simple Stories. So what we're going to do is, I want it to be, I don't think it's, let's have a look. No, it's not the correct length, as in it doesn't match up. So that's okay, no problem at all. I'm running out of space. But I am just going to purposely take some away now just to align it. So let's make that 11 inches. How does that fit? That works perfect. And then what we want to do, so this is 11 inches by 2 inches. Obviously you don't have to use a piece that has a design, you can use whatever, and this is just for a bit of decoration. So we're then going to score a quarter of an inch from the side that I want to go on the outside. So for me, that's this side, because I want that to tuck in. And what we're going to do is simply fold that over, give that a good burnish, like so. So you want it to really, that crease to really feel it. Possibly even, there we go. So now what you've got is, you've got yourself a little flippy flap. So all we're going to do is we're going to use some double-sided tape. Let me grab mine. I'm using 1/4 inch tape, and you're going to put it on this side. You can put it on both sides if you wish, you don't need to, but you certainly can if you want some extra stability. But I'm just going to put it on this side, about there, and we're going to come down all the way and tear that off. Now, I would advise, whilst we have got that tape, I would put a little bit of glue on top of the tape, just to give it a bit of extra oomph. Try and not get glue all over yourself. And now this is why I said make sure you leave a gap, because what you want to do is you're just going to pick this up a little bit, and we're going to tuck that in. and just place it wherever you want it. So I want it obviously centered on this piece. So I am going to attempt to get it under there. You might just have to lift your paper up a little bit. We're going to pop that under there, like so. Make sure it's centered, or however you want it. You don't have to have it centered. Pop your paper down, fold that over. Give that a burnish as well, because that will stick it down nice and tightly, but it'll also just make sure it's all fitting properly. So now we have our first interactive little flap. We've got a little piece that says, I probably placed that a little bit close if I'm honest. So bear with me while I just trim a little bit off there. So if you do something like that, I always keep things like this in because I'm not perfect. I make mistakes as much as anybody else. All creators do. Just trim it down a bit. You can't even tell I've done it. So now we have a little interactive, little flippy flappy, more for decoration than anything. However, if you wanted to, you could use this as a little holder for some other elements. So let's see what we've got. So we could add something like this in if we wanted to. I'm not going to add anything yet. However, what I will do when I come to fill this album, which I can do on camera as well, I guess, we will stick some photo mats here. So I'll show you that as well. So that's our first flippy flap, which is a side turn. And now you can see, even just by adding that one, we've already started bulking out this album. So second is this one, and I think I want to add a flap that comes here, but I want one that folds up and down. So let's see what we've got that we could use, and let's get that one on. So I'm going to use one of the strips that I cut, and I think I'm going to use that one, but then we're going to layer on something a little bit colourful. What about a red? We've already got red there. We could have the Happy Holidays, but that's a bit meh. Could have trees, or we could have that red piece, or we could have one of them. So we've got a few options there. So put them aside for a moment. Now this is 9.5, so this is the same width as the piece that we're doing, which is perfect. That's what we want. And I want this to come to about here. So for this kind of interactive element, what you're going to do is you're going to score, and we're going to score at 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8.5 inches. Turn it over, score at 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8.5 inches. And now what you're left with is 3 score lines there. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold that back on itself. Give that a good burnish. Then we're going to fold this back up like so. And again, give that a really good burnish. And we're going to fold this back on itself again. and then we will need to add one more score line. So unfold it again. We're going to also add an extra score of 10.5. Okay, so that means you'll be scoring at 4, 6, 8.5 and 10.5. So the last one is 10.5. So fold, fold, and then fold this one out. Okay. So now, when we fold this the correct way, we will then have a piece that comes up like this and goes down like this. So you want, whilst we folded it initially like this, you want to turn that around. Now you've got a couple of choices, it depends what you prefer. You could go down so it's like that and then fold that piece like so, or you could fold this straight down like so. I think we might actually do it this way, just so we can see more of that design. So that is how I'm folding it. And then once we've decided on how you want it, just give it all a good burnish, and that is what you're left with. Now, when you come to stick this, you want to score one more time. So you've now got a piece that is 4.5 inches. Okay, so it's 4.5 inches by 3 3/4. You need to score a little piece again here just to tuck it under. So let's do just a small 1/4 of an inch under there. Fold that over, and now that is what you're left with. Okay, give that a burnish. So when I add interactive elements like this, I generally make it up as I go along, if I'm honest. So if my tutorial style video is not perfect, then I apologise. I don't generally do videos like this, but hopefully you are enjoying it and it makes sense, more importantly. So then we're going to add a bit of tape onto there, and of course a little bit of glue just to make sure it's not going anywhere. Then we're going to stick this one to the bottom, so fold that over and tuck it in down here. Line it up. You want to go flush but not completely, because you need space for it to move, and then burnish that down. It just makes sure that it is proper stuck. If you've pulled this up a little bit too much, you can add a bit of extra adhesive if you wish. And now when we fold that over, burnish that, we've got our little piece like this. Now as your album stays closed and you've got your belly band on, everything will start to lay flat. It will teach itself to not be constantly poking up, but at the moment it is going to. And now what we'll do is, when we come to embellish this album, I'll add a tab or something, but for now this is what it looks like. And you fold this up and you've got this funky little piece. Now it's up to you what you do with this piece at the end of the day. For me, I will probably add an embellishment cluster here, a photo here, a photo here, a photo here, and then you've got all this space here as well. It just gives you lots of opportunity, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So that is two ways of doing interactive elements. Let's move on to this page. And for this one, I think we're going to do a pocket. Yes. Now, going back to this one for a moment, I am just going to cut this and then show you one potential way of embellishing. that, and I'm just going to trim this a little bit. Excuse me. So we've got that, and that. So what we could do here is add this to our flap, which would just give us an extra little something, and then that will be what pulls that up. So I'm going to leave that there. I can decide when we come to embellish. I just saw it and it's talking to me. So for a pocket, choose your pattern paper. This one is about the same size, yeah. And decide how big you want your pocket to be, really. For me, I think that's about right. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a little corner. So take your paper that's going to become your pocket, turn it over, or first just write a little something, just so you know that this is the top left. Turn it over, and then we're going to cut off a little bit. So let's cut off about there. And now when we place that back on, it's a little bit more like a pocket. I'm going to trim a little bit more off that as well. It's a little bit too big, and that is perfect. So for your pocket, of course, you want to make sure that you're still going to be able to get in and out. So put some tape adhesive at the bottom and on the right side of the pocket. Or if you're doing your pocket the other way around, so if we were doing it here, then obviously you would put it on your left side. But in this case, it's on the right side. And that's it. So that's the only adhesive you want to put on this pocket, is the bottom and the right hand side, or left hand side, depending on which page you're putting your pocket. So let's do that. And then pop that on. Like so. Now you can see there is a gap here. That's okay, it's not a problem. But we now have ourselves a little pocket. And we will be able to add different bits and bobs. So you could go right ahead and add some photo mats. One thing I would say is don't be afraid for things to stick up, okay? Because it just adds to it if you've got things sticking out of your album. So I am probably going to keep that there as a little design element, and then on the back I'll use that as a photo mat. And what we'll do is we'll add some twine to the top of that at a later point. Now one thing you can do to take your pocket a little bit further is to make it into a stacked pocket. So to do that, choose yourself another pattern paper. So I'm going to choose this one and decide where you want it. So I'm going to have it about take a little bit more off that. This is just guesswork. See, it all depends on what papers you've used, really. So we're going to do that, and then I am going to take a little bit off here like we've done to make a little opening, and we're going to do the same, except this time we're going to put the adhesive on the left side. So your adhesive is going to go on the longest side. It's probably the easiest way of saying it. And then pop some adhesive down there. And that is another pocket. And then you're stacking that on top of your other pocket. So if we pop that there, you can now see that we have ourselves a stacked pocket. Now that can work as much as you want. You could have added another one there if you so wished. It's entirely up to you. So we've so far got a little pulley upper, a flip flap and a pocket. Another thing you could do, which I am going to do maybe on this one. This one, yeah. I am going to create a little movable element. So let's see. Should we have some Disney balloons? So create a strip. So you want a strip that is 29 inches. No, 29 centimeters. Inches would be a little bit too big. And you want it to be just over an inch. Not much, just a little over an inch. Like so. And now for this piece, you then need another patterned paper. So let's see what we've got here. Maybe this black, yeah. So for this one, you want it to be, let's see. Well, first off, let's cut out an inch. You're basically going to create a belly band, okay? So fold that over, burnish. So that's your first fold, so it doesn't matter where that is. Again, you want to make sure that you're leaving a little gap there, and you don't want your belly band to go past there. And then fold that over again. So we need to trim a bit off there. That's it. So you want your belly band to meet like so. And then make sure it's nice and loose but still secure, and attach it. So as we do, I'm going to put some adhesive there and a little bit of glue. Fold that over, and then you've got yourself a little mini belly band. Pop that on top or feed it through like so. And now on your 1 inch piece, add some adhesive at the top and the bottom. Just one strip of whatever adhesive you're using. It's not a strict dimension, but you just want to do one strip of whatever you're using. And then you want this to go roughly in the middle or to the side. So I've done it slightly to the side. Then you've got this movable piece here. You then want to take a piece of ephemera, chipboard or anything like that and stick it atop of your belly band, like so. If you're using chipboard like me, then you want to make sure it's not got the adhesive on it. So just pull the top few layers of your chipboard piece off just to make sure that that adhesive isn't on there. Or if you don't want to do that, just use a piece of ephemera. That works just as well, but equally getting rid of a bit of dimension off that chipboard will do us good, so it doesn't add too much bulk. Then you're left with that piece. Add onto your belly band a load of glue. I would strongly recommend using wet glue for this bit, like so. And then pop your embellishment on the belly band, make sure it's nice and stuck down. And now you have yourself another interactive element, because this little happy Santa dude will move up and down your page like so. And what's that? That's going to just give a little bit of a fun element to your album, and you can just go up and down. And you can add whatever you want onto that. It could be a cut apart card, it could be a phrase, it could be a stamped image, whatever you like can go on there. And then what you can do is you can add photo mats behind here, which is what we will do. And there will be loads of photo mats sitting in there. So that is the fourth interactive element to pull our album together. Excuse me. So I'm just I just want that to stay there for now. So that is your little movable object. Now on the back I generally don't put anything. You can add a pocket or something. So we have these 2 pages here where we could add stuff if we so wish. So let me just turn that over. So I think for this one, that's the cover, so we want to focus on these 2. I think we'll have just a standard flippy flap. So let's choose ourselves a paper, potentially this one. Is that about the same size? Yep. You're going to take, let's see. No, so you want it to be the same size. This is what I mean, guys. I generally make it up as I go along, so excuse me if I appear to not know what I'm doing. So this is 11 3/8. Simply score at 10 3/4. So score at 10 3/4 on that piece. Fold that over, burnish, add your adhesive. So I'm just going to add some tape adhesive there, and I'm also going to add a little bit on this side. Add yourselves a little bit of wet glue just to give it that extra adhesion, and then we're going to add a little flip. So at the bottom, make sure that's folded up a bit, and let's pop that in to there. Make sure it's all lined up nicely, and then burnish that down. So this is a very simple interactive element, but it's a great way to get yourself some more real estate for photos. And that is simply going to just flip down like so. Okay, now if you're feeling adventurous, you could add an additional flippy flap to that. So by that I mean, let me just grab some that's suitable. Don't really want to use Carta Bella paper for this because it will just make it far too thick. So let's see, what about this one? So we've got this, Believe in the Magic of Christmas, and a little postcard. So what you could do is add a little flip so that that then flips out. Should we do that? Let's do it. Okay, so I am just going to take a bit off this. So you want it to be the same size as this, remembering that this is now slightly smaller because we've took a bit away to fold under there. And then score, give yourself a good 1/4 of an inch. Now for this flippy flap, because it's not being tucked under a pattern paper, you want to leave it like this, and that is the side that you're going to stick your adhesive to. So pop some adhesive on there, add a little bit of glue, and then you want to stick this to the edge of this. And I would suggest you come in just a couple of millimeters rather than try and go to the edge, just because that's going to help everything close a little bit easier. So now you've got yourself a double interactive element, by which I mean, let me just make sure this is closing straight, by which I mean this folds down and then this folds out. Now, if you don't like that this bit is visible, you can easily cover that with some more pattern paper. So, for example, you could cover that like so. I personally quite like it because it's a postcard. So that is that page's interactive element. And you will notice that I have as many interactive elements as I can squeeze on. Now for this one, I want to use this postcard. So we are going to score at 3.25 inches. And then we're going to score at 5.5 inches. So we're going to score at 3.25 inches and 5.5 inches. This piece is a 6x8 piece, slightly smaller, but 6x8 is what you're looking for. And then just give those lines a fold. It doesn't matter which way yet, because we don't know which way we're going to stick it. You just want to make sure you've got them folded nicely. So then you end up with a little piece like this. And you want to make sure that A, you've got this piece sticking out here, and B, you've got a gap here. Because what we're now going to do is score again, so keep it folded up and score at 3 inches. Okay, score at 3 inches there, and then you'll end up with a little flippy flap there. So this is the last piece that we're going to do. We're then going to add some tape to here, and of course a little bit of wet glue. Then we're going to put it on the side here, so just make sure you've got enough room. I'm going to add it, I think, towards the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to add it at the bottom here. Like so. Burnish that down. And now, when we turn this around, you can fold this piece over and burnish. Fold that piece back on itself and fold that piece back on itself there. And now we have ourselves a little postcard which can become photo mats as well. Now this page that way doesn't look right, so we'll cover that when we come to embellish, but we have kept our postcard, which is amazing for some journaling, and then that simply pops back in there. Now last but not least, what you could also do if you so wished, you could add a final interactive piece. Now I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, but you could have a little flippy flap down there if you wish. I'm not going to. I will probably add something somewhere as we go through. So that is it, guys. That is how I added interactive pieces to my album. Let me just show you the album start to finish. Bear with 1 second. So there is our completed album. There's no embellishments or ephemera or anything, but I have done all of the interactive pieces that I needed to do. So picking it up, you can see it is already bulking out already. So pull out your belly band. We've got our cover. Then first page we have our pulling out piece, which pulls out like this. That goes down and round. Then we've got a little flip flap here, which can be used as a hinge for photos or just as a little extra. We've got our dancing Santa on our belly band, which will also be used for photo mats. We have got a stacked pocket with an interactive pulley out bit, which will have twine and such things. Then we've got the back cover opening up this way. We've got our postcard, and we've got a little flap here with an additional flap there. So that's how I add hinges and interactive elements and all of the fun stuff. There are many, many ways to do it. I'm not a pro by any means. That's just how I do it. What I find is I will generally, once I've got the base of an album done, I will go through and decorate and add interactive elements as I go. and generally make it up as I go along. It's only paper at the end of the day. If something doesn't fit or you cut something wrong, just start again. Simple as. But that is where I went with it. And it's dead easy to replicate. So we now have 3 of these. I've also got the one that I did for Scrap Backwards. I'm not sure where that has gone at the moment. But I will come back and we'll decorate this and then show you the full album. So I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye for now.